Alright guys, so we have so much news and rumors, leaks, all this stuff to get through, dealing with the Nintendo Direct as well as the Switch Pro and some other things. So I'm going to dive right into this with the very first thing we have here, which is the GameStop internal database leak. So we know 12 Nintendo Switch SKUs were leaked from their database. No titles, but we know that they're upcoming games. And this seems to happen all the time before these Nintendo Directs, about 2 weeks before. So I fully expect that the Nintendo Direct is going to be next week between the 14th and the 16th, one of those days. So we should hear about it this week from Nintendo confirming that. What I usually like to do when I try to predict what games are coming is I use a Direct from last year and try to fill games into that same kind of slot. So before we get into the games though, I want to cover some specific pieces of news because, like I said, I'm going to be using these pieces of news to fill in some of the games. So right off the bat here, I do want to mention that there's not going to be any 3DS, okay? I don't expect to hear anything more about 3DS forever. It's done. Last February, there was only 2 games that were upcoming for the 3DS. And this year, actually, I have the link here. If you click this, right on Nintendo's homepage, or their game store, you can search for upcoming 3DS games. There's nothing. Nothing at all. There's nothing upcoming. I don't expect any games to be announced. I don't expect any more, games coming at all. So we might see some more games coming over from 3DS. Some franchises like Bravely Default we know is coming now. But I don't think any games are going to be released on 3DS anymore. That's it. It's done. I expect us to have more limited edition Switch consoles and a Pro. We're going to talk about that more in a second. More amiibos makes sense. They always have like Smash amiibos coming out all the time too. And also, here's another big one I want to mention. New Switch Online exclusive like Tetris 99 have new online features. So we're going to talk about the Tetris 99 thing here when we get to the games list, but as far as new features, I fully expect, if it's not at this Direct, at least a future Direct this year, that we're going to see new Switch Online features. So Nintendo's president Furukawa has said in his investor meetings many times that he wants to continue to bolster this service and add more value to it. Obviously, they just added the SNES library, which is more exciting than the NES stuff, but I'm talking about new features, not just new games. Myself, I actually didn't even buy the Switch Online when it came out. I didn't get it until they had that Twitch Prime deal last year where you got like 12 months for free. So I'm still rolling on like another 6 months of free Switch Online. And after that's up, if they haven't bolstered this service in some way, I'm probably not going to renew it. So we might hear about some new features that are coming this year in this Direct. So be on the lookout for that. So next piece of news that we have here is with Platinum Games, and they've been very vocal about them beginning a new stage. They're going to be self-publishing, and they keep saying that they have 2 new IPs and a lot of new information coming at the early parts of this year. So I fully expect this Direct is going to have Bayonetta 3 as well as a new IP from Platinum Games that we have no idea about. So more about that in a little bit. So now let's talk about Switch Pro. Okay, so I'm very confident Switch Pro is not showing up at this Direct. Okay, number one, Switch Lite, when that was revealed, was a standalone trailer. It was not revealed in a Nintendo Direct. Okay, so yeah, they might highlight the Switch Pro in later Directs, but for the initial reveal, it's not going to be in a Nintendo Direct. It's going to be its own standalone trailer. I think that makes the most sense. So it's not going to show up in this Direct. Second thing, I think it's going to be coming later in the year, possibly summer, maybe fall, and it's going to have a big launch title, which we're going to talk about that in a bit. Switch Pro is coming. I know people are going to doubt that, but it's coming. And I think the biggest piece that goes along with this is this Digitimes news, which I'll click here so we can look at it. So you can't actually read the full article unless you subscribe, but people have been talking about it on Twitter and stuff too, and saying what the article actually said. But really all we need from this is this headline here, which says Nintendo is reportedly planning to release in mid-2020 a new model of Switch, which will begin volume production at the end of the first quarter 2020, according to sources from the related upstream supply chain. Okay, so It's beginning volume production first quarter 2020. I think that is the key piece of information here, right? We can speculate all about what the specs are going to be and all that stuff, but this is saying that they know people in the supply chain, people who are manufacturing Switch, that it is starting production right now, okay? First quarter 2020, not fiscal, okay? First quarter 2020, so January through March. That's right now. It's starting production right now, okay? So it's coming this year. One more piece of news that I want to talk about is Emily Rogers, who's a known leaker. She came out and had a few things to say about Nintendo's plans this year, and I'll actually read through this really quick. My only concern about 2020 is that Nintendo might lean a little too hard on re-releases of older stuff as a crutch to fill out their calendar. They've already confirmed Tokyo Mirage Sessions and Xenoblade Chronicles 1 Remake for this year, and she can also confirm that Nintendo has at least 2 more unannounced Wii U ports. They are not difficult to guess because there aren't many Wii U games left to port. So yeah, 2 new Wii U ports coming. Like she says, there really isn't a lot left. So these are the ones I listed here. These are the only real first-party Nintendo games that I could think of that could be ported. So Xenoblade Chronicles X. This has been talked about a lot by Monolith and other people where they've said it would be very hard to port, which is true. The game very much heavily relied on the gamepad and that integration, so they'd have to really rework it. Now, I don't think Monolith would even be the studio that would do the port anyway, but I would really love for Xenoblade Chronicles X to come over now that we have the first game being ported as well. So I love that game a lot. I hope that does come, but I think that one's kind of unlikely. Super Mario 3D World, that's a big one that people have been asking for. Pikmin 3, I think that is 100% the one that they're talking about for many reasons. There's already been tons of rumors last year and everything. Pikmin 3 is definitely one of the ports that's coming. Yoshi's Woolly World, I don't know. We already have a Yoshi game on Switch, so I think that one's also kind of unlikely. Nintendo Land. Now, this one, I don't know. I think it's unlikely that we see Nintendo Land be ported, but they could provide like some sort of sequel to that. I would love for that to come. It's one of my most played games on Wii U, but again, it's another game that very much relied on the gamepad, so they'd have to fix it up with the Joy-Cons and stuff, but I would love for them to do this because I think we need something better than 1-2 Switch to showcase the Joy-Cons of the Switch and stuff. I think Nintendo Land would be a great addition to Switch if they could revamp it to use the Joy-Cons, but anyway, I think that one's unlikely too. And then I put Star Fox Zero, which that one I think is the one that's more likely because we don't even have a Star Fox game on Switch other than, you know, the Starlink Battle for Atlas thing with Star Fox, but I think that is one that could be ported. These are the only ones I could really think of, so let me know if you guys think of any other Wii U ports, but let's read this last paragraph that Emily has here too. She says that if you aren't into Animal Crossing, then the first 3 to 4 months of 2020 won't be super amazing for you personally. They are treating Animal Crossing as their big March title, so that's something people will just need to accept. As we saw in 2019, Nintendo likes to dump most of their biggest releases in the second half of the year, which typically makes the pacing for the first half slower by comparison. So I think that's partially true. I think last year, some of that also had to deal with just things getting delayed. Like Fire Emblem was originally supposed to come out in spring and then that got delayed till the end of the year. So I don't think that's necessarily true, but you know, the Direct is happening earlier this year. It's happening in January instead of February. So I think that there are games that are coming super soon. We already know Animal Crossing is March, but I think there's going to be another big game that they kind of fit in between January and March because otherwise they don't need to have the Direct this early. They're going to focus on games that are coming out within the next 6 months or their fiscal year, which would end next March, so March 2021. They tend to focus on games that are coming soon, right? And sometimes they'll give us a tease of something that's a little bit later. So this is the list. Like I said, we're going to compare 2019 games versus 2020. So the February 2019 Nintendo Direct, these are the games that were revealed. So very first thing right off the bat is they gave us Super Mario Maker 2, which was more of a featured game. They gave us a couple minutes of it, and it was a brand new announcement. So I think the perfect fit here is Pikmin 3 and 4. I know I've said in so many directs already that Pikmin is going to be revealed, but guys, this one is the one. I feel like this is the one, and again, I know I've said that so many times, but there's been so many rumors. I think the game was initially supposed to be announced sometime last year, and something happened with the release. It got delayed again, but this is it. This is time. It's time for Pikmin. They need to reveal it. We know these games are coming. They do exist. So I just think that now is finally time for us to see it. And I think that they're going to give us a couple minutes of it. They're going to show us a little bit more of what the game has, some of the features and everything, because they're going to revamp it in some way. There's already been rumors actually from Emily Rogers specifically saying that it's been delayed for so long, and that's why we haven't heard from it, because they've been revamping it, because originally it was going to be on Wii U, and now they had to fix it up because obviously there's no gamepad. So I think that they're going to shake it up a bit. There's going to be some new features and stuff. They tend to do that with their Switch games anyway, like Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey. So they're going to showcase some of the new features here, and if this trailer does finally drop, I am definitely going to be analyzing that trailer like crazy. I've already done a video talking about what are some things that they could do with the franchise and how they could take it. So you can check that out if you want. But I really hope that this is the direct that Pikmin finally gets revealed. And it would be awesome if it was the first game of the direct. I would lose it. I would be so happy. But let's get into the rest of this list. Next up, Tetris 99 was revealed last year. Again, going along with the online and stuff and then bolstering it, I think they're going to have another game similar to Tetris 99, another multiplayer experience of an older game, an older Atari game. So maybe they do something with Pac-Man or Pong or something else where they give us a multiplayer online experience. Then we had Mortal Kombat 11. So a third-party game that I think that fits well in there would be Doom Eternal. That's coming out this year for Switch and the other consoles as well. So I think they could showcase that a bit here. Then they had Yoshi. Now, I think I've said this too in a previous direct prediction as well, but they need to bring back another Mario sports game. It's been 2 years now since Mario Tennis came out. It sold well, a couple million copies, I believe. And so it's time to bring back Sluggers, Strikers, or even Mario Golf, or any of the Mario sports games. I personally would prefer Strikers. I played that game like crazy on GameCube and also on the Wii. Sluggers is also a great game. That would be my second choice, but I think one of these is going to come. If they gave online for both of these, I would be playing like crazy. I would be obsessed, especially with Strikers. I'm a huge soccer fan, especially Mario Strikers was so fun. So I hope that that's one of the games that comes. And also, as a side note, they actually had a poster of Mario Strikers in Luigi's Mansion on that movie floor. I don't think that's necessarily a tease, but it could be a hint. Who knows? So next up, we have Dragon Quest XI-S. I put the new Platinum Games IP here. So this could be a brand new reveal, and they give us a couple minutes about what it's going to be. I'm super excited for Platinum to reveal. They said two new IPs that they have. So one of them is going to show up here because they kept saying that they're going to be revealing stuff early 2020. So I am very certain that we're going to see one of their new IPs here. Next up, Assassin's Creed 3. I put a Mario Rabbids sequel. I think that's a good fit. I think there's been a lot of talk about there being a sequel because the first game did very well. Ubisoft definitely enjoyed making that game, I think, as well. Then we have Unravel 2, which was an Xbox game. So Nintendo and Xbox have been very buddy-buddy this last year or so. So I fully expect another game to get ported. We already have Cuphead. We have the first Ori game. And so I put here that the Ori 2, I forget the name. I think it's Will of the Wisps. I think that they might announce it here as being date release with the Xbox version, which would be very interesting because I suspect that if they release Ori on Nintendo Switch and Xbox on day one at the same time, I think it would sell more on Switch, to be honest. I really feel like indies are just killing it on Switch, and it would probably sell more on Switch day one. So be on the lookout for another Xbox game. Then last year they also talked about Room Factory 4 and 5, and Room Factory 5 was supposed to be coming in 2020, so I fully expect them to be talking about that here as well. So next up we have Fire Emblem Three Houses. That was the game they spent the most time on the Direct last year. They gave us like 5 minutes or so of that game and really went in depth about it, showed us some cutscenes and everything. So I really think we're going to get a full blowout of Animal Crossing here. That's going to be the big game that they push, which makes sense. It's coming very soon in March. So Marvel Ultimate Alliance was the next game here. Wonderful 101, I've said this before that I think they're going to port it at some point. This is a great fit here, both superhero games. I love Marvel Ultimate Alliance, it is so fun. And we also know that Platinum, like I said, is releasing a lot of titles and they're telling us to be very excited. So I think this game will end up getting ported, so they might reveal it here. Then we had Hellblade. So I put Kingdom Hearts ports. I think it's really weird that we still don't have any Kingdom Hearts games on Switch, because Square Enix has been very heavy like into the Switch, right? We have Octopath, Bravely Default, all the Final Fantasy games, Ononaki. We have all these games from Square Enix on Switch, so let's get some Kingdom Hearts ports. And I don't even necessarily mean the newest game, but give us some of the older ones, like any of them. Like just start porting some of them over to Switch. Next up, Daemon X Machina. I put Ninjala. So a lot of you might say, what's Ninjala? I'm so excited for this game, but it was revealed, I think, 2 E3s ago. So E3 2018, it was revealed. We got a trailer. It looks very similar to Splatoon, even though it plays a lot differently. But I think it's a game that's going to sort of replace that online multiplayer for Nintendo, right? We know that the Splatfest ended last summer. Very sad about that. So I think Ninjala is in a good place to kind of pick up now where Splatoon left off. And this game looks so fun. I wish I would have been at E3 so I could have played it a bit, but they revealed it and we haven't heard anything since other than that it got delayed until this year. So if it is still coming this spring like they're saying it is, we should hear about it here. Then they dove into a bit of Astral Chain. So I fully expect Bayonetta 3 to be revealed here fully. We'll get some 2 minutes of trailers and things, some gameplay and everything, and it's going to probably end up being one of those big games that releases in the fall. Then we had Final Fantasy IX come out last year, so I just put another Final Fantasy game. I think this was like day and date. They said, hey, Final Fantasy IX is available now, so maybe they'll do that with another Final Fantasy game. They also had Ononaki last year, which is again another Square Enix game. So they might talk a little bit more about Bravely Default here, because all we know is that the game's coming. We just got like a logo. But I think a more interesting title that I would love to hear about is Octopath Traveler 2. So we know there's a sequel coming. We already had a mobile game that released, which I haven't actually played, but I think that was more of a prequel to the first game. But we are getting a sequel, and it's been almost 2 years now since the game has came out, so that would be awesome if we got a reveal here. I wasn't doing YouTube back when that game came out, so I would love to talk about that game. It's one of my favorite games on Switch. I love the art style so much, and I love the boost break system. I thought it was very unique take on the traditional, JRPG battle mechanics. So I would love to see them talk about Octopath Traveler 2 here. Then we had some Super Smash Bros. Updates, which I think they're going to have more updates here. Probably some amiibos, new characters, all that fun stuff. They also had Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. I put Hollow Knight Silksong here. Now, I feel kind of 50-50 about this. I just did a recent video about Silksong because Team Cherry gave us a little bit of a blog post update, so you can check that out if you want. But in that update, it sounds like that the game got delayed a bit, so I don't know if we're going to see an update on it. If we do see something, I think it's more likely that it'll be a short trailer, probably not even new gameplay or anything, and maybe they give us like a release window. Maybe they say summer 2020 or something like that, but I don't know how I'm feeling about it because Silksong is probably one of the most anticipated indie games on Switch right now. It's huge. I mean, the first game sold like 250,000 copies in the first few weeks on Switch, and it was a port. It wasn't even a brand new release. So I think Silksong is going to be a huge seller. It's going to sell over 1 million copies easily on Switch. So I would love for them to give us more information about this game. I'm so hyped for it. Any little details they can shed would be amazing. Finally, they ended the Direct last year with Link's Awakening. So that completely blew me away, and I think what they'll do is blow us away with a Metroid 4 and Metroid Prime trilogy release. So Metroid Prime 4, we haven't heard anything since this time, basically last year, when they said that the game was being restarted. The development was being restarted basically from scratch. So it's been a year now. I think it's time we finally see a little bit of gameplay, or at least see what the game's gonna look like, just graphics wise, because we know nothing about it since basically the reveal at E3 a couple years ago. They gave us the little logo. It's time. I think it's time, and I think this is gonna be the big game that they release with the Switch Pro, because Metroid Prime 4 is a great game to take advantage of the enhanced specs of a Switch Pro, right? So I think this is going to be that big system seller for the Switch Pro release. Now they could use a different game, but I think Metroid is going to be the one that they use here to end it. And I even put that they might even have a Switch Pro limited edition come out for that, which makes a lot of sense, I think. They probably wouldn't talk about the Switch Pro here, but maybe that would be something they reveal later. Now, they could have another big game that they release here instead of Metroid 4, and I put them down here. I put Paper Mario as one. Now, we have a Paper Mario indie type game coming to Switch very soon, early this year. It already released on PC. It's called Bug Fables. I already did a video on it. It's a very awesome game. It really reminds me of Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, so you guys can check out that video if you want to see that game in action. But we know Intelligent Systems works on Paper Mario and Fire Emblem, and Fire Emblem is done, right? We know Fire Emblem is over. There's probably going to be more DLC and stuff coming, but the game is done. It's out. It's been out for a while, so they could be working on Paper Mario, and that could be revealed here. It could be a surprise reveal. I would love to get that. If we don't see Pikmin, give me Paper Mario at least. But Pikmin I have on my list, Bayonetta 3, Metroid 4, those are on my list. Then I also put Breath of the Wild 2 and Mario Odyssey 2. So Breath of the Wild 2, it could come this year, and that would be absolutely amazing. You know, Zelda's my favorite franchise of all time. I would love to get that game as soon as possible, but I think we're still a ways off because they're still hiring people for the development of that game. We've seen postings from Monolith Soft as well, hiring people for their Zelda internal team to work on the world building and everything. So I think they're still very much in the development phase, and that's going to be a game that probably comes out next year. But who knows? They might surprise us and that releases like late this year, maybe holiday 2020. But then Mario Odyssey 2. So Mario's actually a really weird one right now because we haven't really gotten any DLC for Mario Odyssey, right? A lot of people thought we were going to get new areas in Mario Odyssey as DLC, like a Super Mario Sunshine area or something, but we haven't really gotten anything, so it's weird. I think that means that they are working on the new 3D Mario game, and I very much think it's going to be a Mario Odyssey sequel, because if they're not releasing DLC for it, that means they're probably taking those ideas that they had for DLC and putting that into the next game, right? So they could reveal that here as well, maybe give us a short teaser here at the end of the Direct, and that could potentially come this year because that's almost 3 years old at this point as well. So I would love to get a next 3D Mario game right now, but that's my list, guys. I'm really excited for this Direct. Even if the beginning of the year is more light again like last year, you know, I don't care. As long as we know what's coming and they're going to be good games, then that's fine with me. But what do you guys think? Like, what game do you most want to hear more about? Or what's a game that isn't even announced that you would love to see come to Switch? I'm really curious on what all your guys' thoughts are about all this, so let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.